Reds, a 2-game winless start, followed by 5 wins in 6, then 4 straight losses, and now back-to-back wins. The Reds' form swings are as wild as their coach's mane of hair. What version of Herchan Babake's team might we see tonight? There he is, waving to his wife and child up in the stands. Good to see him with a smile on his face. Let's have a look at the teams for tonight's game then, starting with Adelaide United. Just the one change. James Troisi has a thigh strain, so last week's match winner, Nathan Constantopoulos, there he is, gets just his second start of the season in midfield. Riley McGree was a bit of a doubt with a foot complaint, but he's pulled up okay. And George Blackwood will continue in attack, although Christian Opseth is available again after injury and starts on the bench. No Al Hassan Toure, of course, through injury, and the Reds have had a bit to say about that in the media this week. Now, a couple of changes for Melbourne City. Captain Scott Jamieson is serving a 1-game suspension, so Scott Galloway returns for the first time in a month against his former employers. Adrian Luna has some knee soreness, so Rami Nazarine, fresh from that Olyroos success in Thailand, gets just his second start of the campaign as well. And in Jamison's absence, Jamie McLaren will captain the team. It's the first time he's worn the captain's armbands for any of his A-League clubs. And Dean Bazanis will retain his spot in goal ahead of Tom Glover, who's also back after Olyroos duty. A very impressive debut for Celtic's on-loan defender Jack Hendry against Perth last week. He is looking to relaunch his international career with Scotland here in Australia. He said that in the press this week. He is a 3-times capped international and is looking to catch the eye of the Scotland manager Stevie Clarke. All the games are broadcast in the UK, so he has no excuses. There's Nikola Milouznic, one of the players he'd be looking to stop tonight. He scored the 5th quickest double in A-League history last week against Western United, and his 5-goal haul this season does equal his seasonal best, but interestingly he's never scored against Melbourne City. That's the only club missing from his particular list. Referee tonight is Alex King, who was the same official who took charge of that FFA Cup final in October of last year. Adelaide hoping for similar results. There's their captain, Michael Jakobsen. I wonder if that cup final loss has played any part in Eric Momber's pre-game team talk. Probably not, but you never know. City looking to banish what was a horrible memory for them. So it is the topsy-turvy Reds, who haven't drawn a game all season, who get us underway up against a City side still determined to keep Sydney FC honest in the race for the Premiership. That gap at the top now, 13 points. An intriguing contest ahead, Robbie Cornthwaite.
Yeah, it certainly is, Simon. As you mentioned, Sydney FC well ahead on top of the table. It's almost as though the rest of them are playing for second at the minute, but massive game here. If Adelaide United were to take all 3 points, it could really close the gap.
Oh, dearie me, that's a heavy collision between Elsie and Rami Nazarine. Accidental, both going full-blooded for the ball, and bang, goodness me. That hurts.
Jordan Elsie with his eye on the ball, I suppose. He was determined to win that header, like you'd want to see from any good centre-half, and Nazarine wasn't pulling out either. Big coming together, huge collision to start this game. See Elsie putting his head in where many wouldn't. He doesn't pull out of it, and it's almost a big shirt front, a shoulder charge.
Nazarine's head rocked back like a boxer in the ring that's just been caught flush on the jaw. But he's up and about, he's all right.
Elsie was holding that collarbone and was a little bit concerning for a while there, but he looks as though he's okay to continue.
He's suffered with a manner of injuries down the years, hasn't he, Jordan Elsie? 2 broken wrists, 2 knee reconstructions. Both players good to go again. Jamie McLaren off in pursuit of this one, but Paul Izzo out to sweep. And as listed on the team sheet, it does look as though Jamie McLaren is going to be partnered for the most part up top, or at least get the most support from Rami Nazarine. Slightly different role for him today, as he alluded to in your pre-game chat, Robbie.
Yeah, I was keen to ask him what his role was going to be. I thought maybe he'd naturally take up that wide position and maybe Susayeta coming into the more central role, but he's going to play more through the middle, so excited to see what he can produce.
Hendry, he left it a touch short, but enough on the back pass for Dean Bazanis. A lively start, helped, of course, by these cooler conditions. You live down here, Robbie. That's also a slightly risky back pass from Maria, but again, just enough weight on it. But it's been very hot here this week.
It's been very hot during the week, and then all day yesterday and today we had torrential downpours, 60 to 100 mils in a day, which is, unheard of. So it's tricky conditions now because the sun's just come out. It's dried up a little bit, and maybe the players in their mind were questioning which boots to wear, and you can already see the ball holding up a little bit. Maybe they didn't get the sprinklers on like we see sometimes.
All good for your lawn, hey, Robbie? All 25 hectares of it.
I don't know about 25 hectares, but yeah, I do cut my lawn twice a week, so it's very good.
Delbridge's throw. That's in the full by Jakobsen. Ryan McGree will get the throw in off Delbridge. Back on the score sheet last week against Western United, Riley McGree, and Reds' top scorer overall this season with 8, which is a new seasonal best. And of course, he's playing against one of his former A-League clubs today, is Riley McGree. Rather oddly, perhaps, he did struggle for the most part of last season to establish himself in that starting 11 under Warren Joyce. Here he is battling with Josh Brillante. There's the last 10 meetings between the two, heavily favouring Melbourne City in league play, but of course, as mentioned, that cup final is the outlier.
I think they played each other in the pre-season at least once, maybe twice, so they know each other very, very well.
Delbridge. Well anticipated by Luis Dorigo, who continues to have a standout campaign in that pivotal defensive midfield role. Worked back by Halloran. And Ryan Strain will invite Jordan Elsey into the play. Now Jakobsen closed down quickly by McLaren. He's forced the error. Berenguer trying to weave his way through traffic. Gets it out towards Markel Susayeta on the left. Nazarene. A little bit too tight on Nazarene was Dorigo. Free kick, Melbourne City.
Yeah, Dorigo obviously looking to get pressure on Nazarene in around the penalty area. Good piece of play by Nazarene, just to let the ball run across. Takes that touch and Dorigo into his back. Dangerous free kick. A free kick in a dangerous position, should I say.
Still perhaps feeling that contact from Jordan Elsey in the early moments of the game. Taking the deep breaths, Paul Izzo organising a two-man defensive wall for that potential sneaky effort from Berenguer at the near post. It is going to be Florent Berenguer. And it comes for Josh Brillante, who caught it far more sweetly than the Frenchman did. And not quite the direction. Strange free kick from Berenguer.
It was indeed. Opportunity gone begging.
Blackwood losing out, but unfairly.
I thought Blackwood was pretty good last week. Speaking to Carl Viet before the game, they don't really think of him as an out-and-out number 9. They prefer him in that deeper role, which we've seen. But I thought he did an exceptional job. Set up 2 goals in the first half.
First 15 minutes, both for Nikola Miljuznic. Scott Galloway. It might get 1 or 2 boos today. Left Adelaide United in the close season under a little bit of a cloud. It's going to be the game's first corner. Yeah. Although Brillante contests it.
Galloway sort of reinvented himself here in Adelaide. He was a guy that had a few different clubs, and really we saw the best of him last season. Got himself the move to Melbourne City.
So in front of the Red Army. Game's first corner, and Riley McGree to swing it in. A little bit too much flight.
Yeah, you can look at it as a poor ball in, but we're not sure exactly what he was trying to do. Everyone went to the near post, and maybe someone was meant to come around the back, who knows. But I think Adelaide United in general have been quite disappointing from set pieces. I can't really remember them scoring a corner.
Remember, Milosnic scoring a heck of a free kick opening round of the season against Sydney FC. And yet corners were a different kettle of fish. Little push there from McLaren. He's going to keep Michael Jakobsen busy today. He's Melbourne City's top scorer, 13 for the campaign. City looking to apply the high press, and they've forced the throw, which Delbridge will take. Milosnic, Konstantopoulos, nowhere to go really. Final touch off Susaeta.
Good pressure early from Melbourne City in the midfield, not allowing the Adelaide United players to face forward, and we know, we saw it last week, they love to go forward, play forward and look to get in behind.
Of course, they have their Ollie Roo contingent back now, all four of them, and the acquisition of Hendry, who's on the ball here, and Susaeta, means they're pretty well stocked for a busy second half of the A-League season. Quality in a lot of different areas of the pitch.
Yeah, those two players you mentioned look like two really, really good additions. As you mentioned, Henry last week and Susaeta, I thought he was very, very good. And the more minutes Susaeta gets, the better he's going to be. He hasn't been playing regular football.
Played just 5 times for Gamba Osaka, his last club in Japan. Bit of space here for Ryan Strain. And Susaeta ensured it was shut down almost immediately. That's really well defended by the Spaniard, showing he's not frightened of hard work as well as his creative talents. Spotted that there was a moment of imminent danger there. Quickly gobbled up the ground. Strange delivery into the box, partly away by Good. Nodded down by McGree. Adelaide try to reset. Good leap by Galloway. City still can't get out. And Dorigo's ball in could have been dangerous, but Bazanis gathered it safely enough.
It was a good ball into a dangerous area and well dealt with. You see Tom Glover's back from the Ollie Roos, so Dean Bazanis has kept his place. He's done well there.
Craig Noon looking to lift it over the top of Elsey for the run of McLaren at the other end. Sure, Eric Monbert will have appreciated that from his goalkeeper, Dean Bazanis. Good, quick, accurate release after the safe gather at one end. This is Jack Hendry. McLaren. Susaeta trying to turn away from Konstantopoulos. Had McGree for company as well. Now Delbridge. And collected from behind by McGree.
Adelaide United just looking a little bit unorganised, a little bit sloppy in this opening 10 minutes. Coach Gert-Jan Verbeek has been up on the edge of the technical area already, barking instructions to his back four. Not happy with some of the distribution.
Off the thigh of Brillante. Nazarene couldn't make it stick. Worked out by McGree towards Nikola Milosnic. He's having a really good campaign, looking to attack Delbridge. Berenguer there as well. And he knew what he was doing there, Milosnic. Just thought, well, there's no angle there, so I'll just play it off Delbridge for the corner.
It was a good play from both players. I think Delbridge tracked him well, didn't allow him to come inside onto his right foot, forced him wide, and made the tackle when he needed to.
50 A-League games up today for Big Harrison. Big topsy-turvy season for him, hasn't it? With the 2 red cards and a Melbourne derby goal. Here's Konstantopoulos with the corner. Whipped in dangerously towards that near post. It's not cleared properly. And Ben Halloran lashes it into the back of the net with the left peg, and Adelaide United get their noses in front. And they have scored from a corner.
Well, I was just saying how they'd been a little bit sloppy in this opening 10 minutes. Konstantopoulos with the ball into the near post, flicked on by Elsey. Craig Noon, I think it was, who was trying to clear it away, unable to get much on it, ball spinning, and that's a lovely strike from Halloran on his left foot. This is good play from Elsey. desperate to get there. You see that ball just bouncing and spinning. Craig Noon unable to clear, and he's punished for his error.
Well, Ben Halloran, who scored the winner in extra time against City in last year's finals to knock Warren Joyce's team out of the title reckoning, has struck once more. It's his 4th of the season, which surpasses his entire seasonal total from last year. But I think Craig Noon will be irritated that he didn't get better contact on that attempted clearance.
Oh, definitely. And in that situation, you're better off just going with the side foot, just hoping to get as much of your foot on the ball as you can. Look to get height and distance, and don't try to overhit it. You can see he took a massive swing at the ball, and he ended up missing it.
Here's Halloran again. Took it nicely on the chest first time, but Galloway stuck to it. Are you victory in disguise is the chant from the Adelaide supporters. No love lost, of course, between South Australia and Victoria. And Curtis Good to carry the ball forward as City look to respond. Berenguer trying to twist and turn his way past Milojevic. Slightly overhit the cross, but not by much. And Ryan Strain forced into action there, and McLaren is holding a bit of an inquest as to perhaps why Nazarene wasn't following in behind. Or Susayeta.
Yeah, one of them's got to take a gamble there. Ball over the top of McLaren. He's got every right to expect maybe one of his teammates coming in.
Well, they appeal for handball here, and referee has heeded those appeals right on the edge of the box. Nathan Constantopoulos, goodness me, it couldn't have been much closer, although the hands were close to the body, but Alex King has blown.
Yeah, I suppose the saving grace for LA United is that's not in the penalty area. When it comes to handballs these days, you never know what's going to happen, do you?
Well,
that's down by his side.
Interesting thing, isn't it?
That's down by his side. What do you really expect him to do? But
so if that's another metre the other side, and it's inside the box.
Well, I think from everything we've seen this season, they'd probably give that as a penalty. We saw the one with Scott Neville last night. I was on a similar.
Here's Susayeta with the free kick, and again they've struck straight into the wall. Now Berenguer, Susayeta. Neither's been able to get past that solid red line from the set-piece situation. Yeah, that handball rule is really causing all sorts of consternation, isn't it? Both here and overseas. Here's Nazarene with that very sweet left peg. And again, there are appeals for a penalty. And this time, Ben Halloran's got a bit to say to Nazarene, and arms are raised. Alex King is going to have to put a stop to that. They feel that Nazarene took a dive there.
There was no doubt Halloran won the ball from first look. Didn't look to me that Nazarene went down all that easily. We'll have another look at it, but yeah, maybe a little bit eager to find the grass, but I still don't think there's any need for Halloran to get in his face. You're asking for trouble.
Here's Galloway. He's got clear of Halloran. Not a bad ball. Up in the air from Jakobsen. Might drop here for McLaren. And Craig Noon atones for that weak clearance at the other end. And we're back at 1-1. And he's really found his shooting boots, hasn't he, in recent weeks, the Scouser. That's 3 and 4 now for Craig Noon.
Oh, he'd be delighted to get his side back on level terms. Good work out in that wide position. Ball hung up into the central area. It's a poor clearance from Jakobsen off Jamie McLaren and struck beautifully with his left foot by Craig Noon. I have to say, Adelaide United is becoming a bit of a habit, switching off inside the penalty area. Really poor clearance from the captain, and just allow the opposition an opportunity to score.
That is, as you saw from our caption, Melbourne City's 400th A-League goal. They are the 3rd quickest to get there, behind Melbourne Victory and Brisbane Roar. And what a start to this game. Adelaide becoming the great entertainers after their 4-3 win last week. 2 already here tonight.
Oh, I think they've been pretty entertaining all season. They've scored plenty of goals. Obviously a little bit inconsistent. Defensively, though, they need to tighten up.
Here's Michael Maria. Somehow he's riddled through, but it was with the aid of a little ankle tap on Harrison Delbridge.
I think the frustration from the Adelaide United coaching staff is more in the fact that, you know, at times, particularly against Melbourne Victory and last week against Western United, they defend the box really, really well. And then for just some reason, they just switch off. We saw Besart Berisha get away on 2 or 3 occasions and score. And again, that poor clearance, it's those little moments that really do come back and hurt you.
Said he would say the same thing, of course, and I guess Jamie McLaren claims an assist as tame as it was, just sort of rolled down the shin, didn't it, and onto the boot of Craig Noon, but they all count.
Does that count as a good first touch then?
You'll have to ask Jamie. High boot against McGree. Reds don't like it. They think it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other in the little skirmish with Galloway. Things heating up here, and it's going to be a booking for Riley McGree against his old club.
The crowd don't like it, that's for sure.
I don't think Riley does either. Let's have another look. Thoughts, Robbie?
Oh, I mean, he's gone for the ball and he's won the ball. There's no doubt his follow-through catches him, but is there any real malice or intent involved? I mean, if he gave a free kick, I could probably live with, but I'm not sure whether that's a yellow card.
Is it a little bit reckless, perhaps? These are all the things that refs have to take into consideration, of course. I reckon you had bigger shin pads than Scott Galloway.
That wouldn't cover my big toe.
Well, Craig Noon, the man of the moment, and he's the scorer, as mentioned, of Melbourne City's 400th A-League goal. There's the other milestone scorers. Ben Kantarovski, I'm sure he loves having that record, scoring City's first ever goal with an own goal. David Williams, Stephen Mork, who's now back with the Reds, of course. Signed or re-signed from Brisbane a day or so ago. And Ross McCormack scored their 300. Where is Ross McCormack these days?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure. Back in the UK,
know?
I'm sure.
He went to Motherwell, but not sure he's still there. Here's Noon. It's going to be a good battle between him and Maria down this flank. And those two again going hammer and tongs, and Noon comes away with the ball. Pokes it forward for Susayeta, who overhits the delivery. Good response, though, from City to falling behind.
Yeah, I thought they were probably slightly the better side, although they did go a goal down, so they've done well to get themselves back in it so quickly. It's about building on that momentum now and continuing to try to put pressure onto Adelaide United. We saw Perth Glory get joy from pressing high against Melbourne City last week, particularly in the first half, and City went long on a lot of occasions. I haven't really seen Adelaide United get anywhere near the high press. City getting through them quite comfortably.
Well, those long balls were a little bit of a frustration as well for Eric Mombert. Ended up with a point from a goalless draw. Adelaide have pinched the ball here. Blackwoods, no real options out wide for him. Had to go back through Constantopoulos. A little touch from Halloran, but Curtis Good first to the loose ball. Elsey had to win that one ahead of McLaren. Brave again from Jordan Elsey. It's what you've got to do as a centre-back, isn't it, Robbie?
Yeah, and it was sort of a danger there of the ball holding up and Elsey waiting for it, but he moved forward and attacked the ball, and that was the key to winning that one ahead of McLaren.
And you know, it's funny, you've said that a couple of times now. The ball does seem to hold up a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, what I'm wondering is we had so much rain that maybe they decided not to sprinkle the pitch with the sprinklers. And then we've had this late bit of sun, and maybe it's just made it a little bit stickier than what the players are used to.
Interesting observation. Susayeta having to stretch. Galloway to calm things down. Back to Hendry, Brillante. City, of course, 4 games unbeaten. Hadn't conceded a goal in their previous 2 until that early opener from Ben Halloran. Adelaide themselves in good nick, back-to-back wins. They haven't actually drawn an A-League game since round 11 last season, as Craig Noon with a real up and under, just, again, maybe just slightly mistimed it. A bit of space here, though. Of course, easily fended off by Elsie. Delbridge. Noon. Oh, too easy to get around Maria, who sold himself way too early. Still Noon. Oh, Berenguer coming back from an offside position, which is a pity from Craig Noon's point of view, because his early work was really good.
Yeah, it was a neat turn on this near touchline and got City sort of rolling into that attacking third, and all the runs that unfolded ahead of him, nothing really was eventuating. There was nothing obvious on. Held the ball up, and unfortunately for City, played it to Berenguer, who was in an offside position.
Still to really see the best of Florent Berenguer, aren't we? I know that when he first came to the club, Warren Joyce, in trying to sort of liken him to an A-League player, said, oh, he's a bit of a Ninkovic type player. He's that sort of creative outlet. I don't know whether he's shown that as yet. Had injury problems, of course. Here's Nazarene, who's stolen in behind. And now McLaren, danger brewing potentially for the Reds. Top of the box is Galloway. Looking to get around Halloran, and Halloran did well.
Yeah, super defending from Halloran. Stuck to his task. I think it was Galloway who got that cross in for the first City goal. Stuck to his task really, really well there. And he's even won his side a goal kick.
There's a wrestling match going on between Blackwood and Good. And it's the Adelaide man who gets the decision. Curtis Good giving his version of events.
We spoke in the pre-game. This is the foul from Curtis Good. George Blackwood just able to use his body to roll him. We spoke in the pre-game about the midfield battle, and whoever won the midfield battle was probably going to be on top. And at the moment, we're really struggling to see the Adelaide United midfield three to get on the ball.
Little hold up for Ryan Strain. Top of the box is Halloran. Delante with the intervention momentarily. Square for Michael Maria. Had to really hurry it along towards Miliusnic. Did well under pressure from Noon. Ball's already pinging about between both teams, and now Riley McGree's stolen it. Digs it out for Blackwood. City on the back foot, clipped towards the back post, away by Galloway. Nazarene gets further distance. City can't get out again. It's all very narrow for the Reds.
Delbridge has got away with one there. Tried a little trick in the defence, and
Halloran trying to find that little passing lane for Blackwood, not quite able to do so. Another tangle between Elsie and McLaren. This time the Reds get the decision, and there are a few ironic cheers around Cooper Stadium.
Elsie's been pretty good at that tonight, hasn't he? Intercepted on a couple of occasions.
Good run from Konstantopoulos. Had to try and cross it first time. Good to see him getting a run, though, Nathan Konstantopoulos. I just thought he was an A-League player that had potential, but difficult to get into that Reds midfield when James Troisi is fit, which, of course, he's not tonight.
You get yourself an opportunity. I get the feeling that the Adelaide United bosses want to stick with what's working. If they get away with a good win tonight and Konstantopoulos has a good performance, I don't think he's the type of guy that's just going to bring Troisi straight back in. He wants what's best for the team and go with the informed players.
Out of contract, Konstantopoulos as well at the end of the season. It's been a very bright 26 or so minutes. There's James Troisi. Just sat to the left of our commentary box. Enjoying watching the game with his family. I'm sure he'd rather be out there.
I actually saw him on the drive in. Stopped off to get a coffee on the way to the stadium, and he was there catching up with an old friend.
You do love your coffees, Robbie. How many of those do you get through a day?
Too many, I think. Yeah.
There he is. There was a bit of a rumour that he might be on his way out of Adelaide during the transfer window, but said he's sticking around.
I think Bruce Jitte said during the week he hadn't received an approach whatsoever, official, unofficial, nothing. So as far as he's aware, nothing eventuating for Teresi in this window.
It's a good turn that by Nazarene. This is Berenguer. Galloway. Could have brought Brillante into play there, but opted to go back through Good. Hendry. Susaeta. And Nazarene will work it out to Noon on the right. Good ball. He's got away from Dorigo. Has Rami Nazarene. And credit to Dorigo. Got back goal side at the expense of a corner.
It's a better run from Nazarene. That's what we saw a lot of from Luna last week. I thought he was one of the best players of the round, Luna, in that 0-0 draw. Got forward, caused issues inside the Perth Glory penalty area, and that's what Remy Nazarene needs to do, create space for players coming in behind him.
Three central defenders have come up for the corner. Good, Delbridge and Hendry. And work it along the deck to Josh Brillante. And Adelaide could be on for a counter, particularly with the pace of Milosnic. He has McGree alongside. Blackwood trying to get in position at the back post. Milosnic just lost his balance, and ultimately the ball, Nikola Milosnic. It's a bit of a nothing ball from Craig Noon. Two good opportunities there at either end, really, for the two teams, and neither good enough to profit.
Yeah, I think Adelaide United's breakaway was probably the better one. Milosnic in the box. He's been in fantastic form. A little bit quiet so far this opening half hour.
Adelaide just the one shot. It was one that counted. Pretty successful conversion rate. Constantopoulos, rescue ball. Rebounds off the shins of Susaeta. Tidied up though by Maria. Jack Hendry looks a very cool and composed player on the ball, doesn't he?
He certainly does. I'll be looking to get him on the ball as much as possible when playing out. I think we said 95% pass accuracy or something along those lines from last week. Doesn't make too many poor decisions from what we've seen in his short A-League career.
Noon went first time. Nice weight on it for Berenguer. And then put it behind McLaren. So now pressing strain. Nazarene and Halloran, and ultimately the whistle does go from Alex King. He did wait a second or two.
Adelaide United having trouble getting George Blackwood involved, particularly when he's isolated against three. As the foul from Nazarene sliding in. Particularly when he's up against the Melbourne City back three. Most of the joy for Adelaide is, well, most of the opportunity is when they look to go in behind.
They'll turn the ball over here, though, the Reds. Susaeta for Berenguer. France to Spain and then on to England in the shape of Craig Noon. Crowded out by Curaçao, Michael Maria. Delbridge. Susaeta was offside. McLaren wasn't. Here's McLaren. Wasn't the best first touch from Ryan Strain. He's got away with it. Got clear of Susaeta. Blackwood. Closed down quickly by Hendry. Oh, Curtis Goods. He's given a bit of a hospital ball there by Harrison Delbridge, and he's pushed over Blackwood. I reckon that's going to be a card. It is. And I think Curtis Good can look across at his central defensive partner, or one of them, in Harrison Delbridge, and say, yeah, that booking's your fault, mate.
It wasn't the kindest of passes, was it? For heavy first touch, and really he had to make the foul. Picks up the yellow. Adelaide United in the lead up to that opportunity, they looked really sloppy. They got closed down 3 or 4 times, taking far too long on the ball. Despite the scoreline, I think they've been a little bit sleepy in this opening 30 minutes.
Free kick almost dead straight, long way out. What does Ronnie McGree do? Looks for the back post where Jakobsen was arriving. Nice idea, but ended up in the side netting. He remains just on the one A-League goal, Michael Jakobsen, that he scored for Melbourne City, his former club.
It wasn't an easy one. Obviously, from that position, you want to be trying to direct that back across the 6-yard box for runners coming in. I'm sure that was the idea. Wasn't able to get his head around it.
Galloway. Nicely measured for Nazarene, but run out of things by Doriga. That's what he's there for. It's a defensive midfield role. Kept in play by Galloway. Strain, and Blackwood's onside here, and City are stretched. Blackwood has a little look, but there wasn't a lot on for him. City back in numbers now. And now Halloran's lost out to Susayeta, and all rather disappointed from the Reds' point of view. But Blackwood didn't really have a lot on, to be fair to him. Or do you disagree?
Drive a goal.
Yeah.
It makes something happen. You just sort of strolled into the box and just sort of guessed that something was going to unfold. You're a striker. Beeline straight for the middle of the goal. Ask the question of one of the centre halves. He's going to come and close you down. If you've got nothing on, smack it at the near post. Don't just cut it back to no one. I think a few times we see Adelaide United this season, they don't take responsibility and they look to pass it to someone else. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or... I mean, he's not young anymore. He's played plenty of games.
Up, Dom.
To be fair, he is still only 22, but I take your point. He's played well over 70 A-League games, George Blackwood. I may be showing that, you know, that sort of underlines that he's not played a lot as a striker in recent times. He's played in a deeper role, but I'm not excusing the criticism.
No, not at all. And I think he played well last week. And even the second goal, I think it was from Mile Uznic, when he went through one-on-one, he had half a goal that he could have just slid the ball into. No one speaks about that because he passed it and they scored, which is obviously a great option. But as a striker, he could have taken that on himself and probably scored as well.
Minutes of the first half to run. It's been a pretty decent watch so far. Noon is offside.
I think City will be looking to try to get Jamie McLaren involved a little bit more. He's constantly making those runs in behind. Whenever City have time on the ball, he's looking to stretch the Adelaide United defence. That's part of his game as well. I think his recent record at Hindmarsh isn't the greatest.
Yep, he's lost the last 5 times he's played here consecutively and scored just the 1 goal. Curtis Good being pressed by the pace of Halloran. It's good enough to get out of that particular sticky situation. Susayeta giving Galloway an option, but Strain read it. Up in the air by Goods, off the head of Dorigo, but it's going to favour Susayeta here for City. 3 to try and pick out in the middle. It's over the head of McLaren. Steered away by Maria, helped further clear by Mile Uznic. And then one back rather too easily, I'm sure, for Herchumba Bake's liking by Harrison Delbridge. They could be on again here, City. It's Nazarene, and it's deflected across the face, and Maria will clear.
You can see from those deeper positions, Nazarene, when he looks most dangerous, is when he makes those runs into the box and looks to get into the dangerous positions. He's probably had a quiet first half, but we need to see a little bit more of that.
Would make 3 starts for the Olyroos in their ultimately successful campaign to reach the Tokyo Olympics. And scored, of course, against Bahrain as well. Good win in the air by Hendry.
It's a fantastic header. You can hear him call for it as well. And I mentioned that last week. Although he's new, he was directing traffic, he was loud. And I think he put a big name on that one, came through and won it.
Good communicator too, by the looks of things.
Helps when you come from abroad and you speak the language.
I might not understand it though, coming from Glasgow. Here's Konstantopoulos. Craig New. McLaren. He would certainly be one that understood the Scottish brogue. Jamie McLaren's father, Donald, former pro himself with Arta Midlothian back in the day. Here's Noon driving unchecked towards the top of the box. Actually, it was Jakobsen who made the block. Now, Blackwood's in a foot race with Hendry. Only one winner there.
Showed good speed.
Good. Nicely weighted, beautifully killed by Noon. Just the end product missing. And Craig Noon knows it, disappointed.
I think that ball's a little bit too narrow. I think Susayeta at the back post is probably the better option.
And Halloran has stolen in behind Galloway. Only Blackwood in the box. Here is George Blackwood. Wouldn't stick for him. Nor for Dorigo, but he'll get a second bite at it.
Adelaide United played a friendly behind closed doors during the week against local side Metro Stars. There was minutes for Opseth and Boland. Hopefully for Adelaide United they can start getting some minutes in their legs as well.
Game that ended goalless. Here's McGree. Oh, sends Galloway completely the wrong way. And it's going to be another corner off Brillante. Might have been more for the Reds.
First time we've seen him in that sort of position tonight. Last week I mentioned how many times we saw him in the opposition penalty area. Got a few shots away, scored a goal as well. It's where the Adelaide United fans want to see him.
Just offering that touch of creative spark. Let's see what his corner produces. Jakobsen front post. It's towards that area. Craig Noon gets it away for now. Back in powerfully by Dorigo, but Bazanis knew it was heading well wide.
Jordan Elsey the target from that set piece. Looked to be a good ball in from McGree, plenty of pace on it.
Not the best clearance. Jusnic into a good area for Ryan Strain. Red still with plenty forward. And they find the cross. Not quite. But they will from the corner.
Well defended from Galloway. Obviously a big loss. No Scott Jamieson, the captain of their side. He gets forward as well and puts in some decent crosses. We've seen Galloway do that tonight. Defensively sound so far. McGree's causing him a few issues a minute or two ago.
Again, McGree with the corner. And headed into the back of the net at the far post for Ben Halloran, who has a double. It almost happened in slow motion, and Bazanis was unable to keep it out. And the Reds' lead is restored.
Well, it's always the way, isn't it? As a commentator, I was saying how I couldn't remember Adelaide United scoring from a corner all season. Now they've got 2. The fans should be thanking me. Swung into the near post. Again, it's Elsey and Blackwood up. Get the flick on. Unmarked Halloran at the back post, able to poke it in at the near post. Nothing Bazanis could do. That's a great attack on the ball from Jordan Elsey. And Halloran just camping at the back stick. Directs his header downward. He's got himself a brace in the first half.
I don't think he scores too many headers, Ben Halloran. Not too many doubles either. It's just his second in the competition. But he's had a first half to remember.
When you look at the players who have scored this season for Adelaide United, McGree with 8. You got Mile Uznic on 5, Halloran on 5. You just think if they had a striker that was lethal, maybe 6 or 7 goals themselves. Geez, what a front four.
And that's, of course, what Christian Opseth was brought to the club to provide. Al Hassan Toure has the potential to do that. As long as the others keep chipping in, I'm sure Chamberbank won't care. Berenguer picked up a whack in midfield. Spins up in the air off Michael Maria. City are chasing the game again. That's a foul from the Frenchman, Berenguer. Just something about Melbourne City, isn't there, for Ben Halloran? Mentioned that winner in the elimination final against them last year. 2 tonight. Scored in the cup final against them. They'd like to play him every week, I'm sure. Here's Mile Uznic, who's stolen away from Delbridge. Has McGree in attendance. Delbridge retrieved the situation, at least for now. Maria too strong for Noon. And then completely lost his bearings, did Michael Maria. Berenguer. Noon. Maria determined not to be turned twice by the Englishman.
Just the 15th game of the season for Adelaide United, and you got both wingers on 5 goals. It's a pretty good return. I have to say both of them would have to be targeting double figures now.
But it's a fair point you make about that lack of that focal point. You know, you look at all successful teams. Sydney have Lafondra, Berisha for both Brisbane and Victory back in the day, etc., etc. And Adelaide, you know, aside of Bruce Jitte in their title-winning season, just watch this, Hendry will guide it back to Bazanis. You have to go back to the days of Sergio Van Dijk, really, to find the last number 9 that scored 10, 15 goals a season.
No, you hit the nail on the head. There's no one really that's come here and scored bagload of goals. I mean, I spoke to Carl Viet before the game and I said, are you crying out for that type of player, or the way you're playing, it's not the job of the number 9 to score? And he said, no, we want them to score plenty. They just haven't found the right player.
Last year, of course, Craig Goodwin was their top goal scorer with 10.
And they had a couple of options up front in Diawara and Ilso. That didn't work out either.
Yeah.
It's become a little bit of a theme over the years.
Anyway, career best season in front of goal for Ben Halloran. He's doing his bit.
And surely the coach has to take a lot of credit for the 2 wide men, both with career best or equal career best seasons so far. Riley McGree as well. It's obviously, you know, he said he wants to come here and play attacking football, and that's what he's done.
They tick over into stoppage time. 2 minutes to be added. Delbridge to pump it forward for City. Jakobsen, too strong, too savvy for Berenguer, and Konstantopoulos will sprint forward. Volante trying to shut down the options. Mile Uznic. Konstantopoulos continues. And so too, crucially for City, did Brillante. Fair win by Maria. Mile Uznic. Reds back on the attack. And they'll have a corner, and if they could go into the sheds 3-1 up, it would be a long way back for second place Melbourne City. Red Army in the Pickard end of the ground. Jakobsen taking his customary position. Konstantopoulos with the delivery. Oh, it is 3! What a fantastic header it was from George Blackwood, who's answered all those criticisms at a stroke. And the Reds will probably have a 2-goal cushion going into the dressing rooms at the break. And that's a bullet header, and yet another corner, Robbie Cornthwaite.
I can't believe it. George Blackwood. Oh, brilliant attack on the ball. I've mentioned it on a number of occasions. Those balls into the near post have been good quality. And the attack, this time it's George Blackwood showing that predatory instinct that I was crying out for. And he rockets the ball into the back of the net. 3-1 Adelaide United.
3 corners, 3 goals, 3 very big problems to try and rescue 3 very big points for Eric Mombert and George Blackwood. It's his 3rd of the campaign, and it was the final action of what has been a terrific first 45 here at Coopers, helped by the conditions. Ben Halloran has helped himself to a double, and George Blackwood with that potentially crucial 3rd goal. All that after City had got square on the 16-minute mark, thanks to Craig Byrne, whose error it was, produced that first goal for Ben Halloran. Plenty of this one still to come, you fancy. That has been a rip-roaring first 45, though, at the break. Adelaide United leading Melbourne City by 3-1.
no idea what they've said in the dressing room, so.
Award-winning insurance today.
clouds starting to lift for Adelaide United. Maybe that bake from Hyundai a couple of weeks ago has worked. They're 3-1 up at the interval, and Al Hassan Toure, not involved through injury, is enjoying this one as well from the stands. Ben Halloran certainly enjoyed his first half. A couple of goals for him. One for George Blackwood as well. All three, intriguingly, from corner kicks. And prior to today's game, Adelaide hadn't scored a headed goal all season. They've scored 2, Hyundai's team, in the first 45 against City. Big test now of City's mettle. Looking to close that gap on Sydney FC at the top. 13 points the margin, and it's a long way back, and you'd imagine Eric Mombert would have had a few things to say, particularly about their set-piece defending. I'm sure you would have done, Robbie Cornthwaite, had you been in that dressing room as a former defender yourself.
Question marks over their side in the setup. We heard Robbie and Bozza discussing it at half-time. No players on the back post. I'm sure it's something they're going to have a long, strong look at during the week, because the attack on the ball from the Adelaide United players, particularly Elsie and George Blackwood for that third goal, the Melbourne City defenders were all stationary.
Has to be said, it was one heck of a delivery as well from Nathan Constantopoulos.
Yeah, delivery's been good from both sides. Dorigo's quite often on the set pieces, but Constantopoulos and McGree from the other side have both really whipped in dangerous balls with plenty of pace into that near post.
Here's Michael Maria. Oh dear. Got the old banana boots on again as Michael Maria splits away for a throw to Melbourne City.
Lucky he's on the far side away from the coach's bench.
Yeah. Talked before this season about aspects of Melbourne City's mental fragility. Do you think we've seen signs of that again first half, or is that too simplistic a view?
No, I think the criticism has been in big games. I'm not saying this isn't a big game, 2nd v 5th. Adelaide United with an opportunity to close the gap, but it's really just come down to those 3 set pieces, hasn't it?
Let's see how they go from this long crossfield ball from Curtis Good, which seeks out and finds Florent Berenguer. Jamie McLaren has really been starved of service so far.
It was a good test for Adelaide. They were 3-1 up last week, and Western United were able to level things at 3-all. One more goal for Adelaide could really kill this game off.
It is just the 2nd time in Adelaide's A-League history they've scored 3 first-half goals in back-to-back games. Here's McGree, and the pitch is opening up here for them. It's Mila Jusnic, Blackwood in the centre. It evades Blackwood. Riley McGree, oh, what a chance, really, to put the game to bed, even as early as the 48th minute, but he couldn't finish against his former club. Yeah,
fantastic ball from Mila Jusnic. Blackwood did the right thing and let it run. I just wonder whether or not he had enough time maybe to take a touch. Ball was bouncing, and he really went for power.
Here's Berenguer at the other end. Clips it in towards McLaren, but well marshalled by Jakobsen. And then thrashes it up towards halfway, and Blackwood's got a whack to the back of the head off Jack Hendry, which means Alex King will just stop the game. And Hyundai is not happy about something, even though his team is leading by 3-1.
Well, judging by the look of Michael Maria, who was just staring at the floor, it might have been directed at him. Little coming together, little clash of heads. Didn't look like there was much in it. Hopefully he's not too hurt. But as you mentioned, Sam, that was a huge opportunity for Adelaide United to go 4-1 to the good and just about seal the game. Opening stages of the 2nd half.
George Blackwood making his case to be perhaps the Reds' missing link at the focal point of the attack. Has played much of his career in that position. A goal and an assist for him tonight. He's trying to hunt down this back pass from Delbridge, but Bazanas sweeps it upfield. 2
assists last week. We know what he's capable of. It's just whether he can produce it consistently.
I remember when he was at Sydney FC, he was a big favourite in the early part of his career of Graham Arnold. Thought he had huge potential. Never really realised it.
I think that's the word that people...
At Sydney, I should say.
Yeah, people always mention that when they mention George Blackwood, but it's a time now where he has to deliver. That's simple. Potential's gone. It's do or die time.
McGree stepping through traffic. Sliding challenge from Brillante. Quickly taken throw by McGree, a bit too quick. Brillante needed an option. And Galloway a little bit too heavy through the back of Halloran. Free kick.
You look at this Adelaide United starting 11. Troisi still to come back in. Mork as well. It's a pretty handy midfield.
And Torre, of course, up front. That's if George Blackwood allows him back in.
Exactly right.
So will a set piece prove to be City's undoing again? 3 corners, 3 goals. This is the free kick from McGree, and it doesn't get past first base. Turned out by Miliusnic towards Jakobsen on the left-hand side. Has a bit of time to think about the cross. Delbridge stretching. Miliusnic first to react. City slow to close down. In fact, it was Delbridge again who just threw his body in the way. Adelaide continuing to build pressure. Ryan Strain to Ben Halloran. Looking crossfield for Miliusnic. Always going to be a tough ask to beat Harrison Delbridge in the air. City should be able to settle things down through Berengay, and now Good. Launched over the top for Nude. Accurate too. Faced by Maria. Still Nude. And Galloway just waited too long. Closed down by Halloran. And Craig Noone sort of gave himself up there. He had a little glance towards Alex King as if to say, don't blow your whistle, but he did.
Yeah, just back on that Adelaide United midfield. This is the goal for Ben Halloran, sorry, at the back post. He nodded that one in. Just on that Adelaide United midfield, they've got 5 very, very good players in Troisi, McGree, Mork, Dorigo and Konstantopoulos. They're all Aussies to start with. And I think they're all South Australians, which is really exciting for Adelaide United fans and Adelaide United. All at a good age as well. Plenty to be excited about.
It's a pretty parochial part of the world, isn't it, Robbie, as you know well. They'd love to promote their own, as most areas of the world do, to be fair. There's a certain pride, isn't there, about having a bunch of local youngsters.
Well, I think that's what Adelaide United was built on back in the old NSL in the season 1 of the A-League. It was a lot of local players, a lot of South Aussies, and you know, really played for the badge and for the club. Finding that again. Look out there, there's plenty of guys from South Australia.
Here's Good. Purposeful run by him. The cross from Nazarene. Again, it's too high for McLaren. He'll give chase and try and close down Maria. Breaks for McGree, who turns it away. Oh, Miliusnic is offside.
It's going to be the danger now for Melbourne City. Already seen one great opportunity for Adelaide on the break in behind. It's just those forward runs. I feel like I talk about it all the time. They're just so damaging. Oh,
Tight.
It's offside. Jack Hendry just steps up at the right moment. I wonder when Melbourne City are going to go to their bench. Some good attacking weapons in Denny Jonru. Metcalf as well, who's had a good start to the season.
Lachlan Wales amongst the replacements too. Berengay trying to spin clear of Konstantopoulos. Stuck doggedly to the task. Back with Good. Gets the return off Nazarene. Brillante. Adelaide well set defensively. City unpicked the lock. Brillante, that's a good touch. And the cross towards McLaren. It's virtually the first real sniff of goal he's had. It was no more than a half chance. Well found by Josh Brillante.
Every opportunity he seems to be getting. He's surrounded by 2 or 3 Adelaide United shirts. Little support for him tonight. Hasn't been able to find much time and space in the box, in between the posts, like any good striker, in a good position. But when you're under pressure, difficult to get good contact.
Maybe that's where a Connor Metcalf might be the option off the bench, given his physicality.
And sometimes McLaren can be the decoy. He attracts 2 or 3 defenders, as you saw on that occasion, and it's the ball to the top of the box.
Glance by Berengay into the path of Craig Noon. Little step over to create the angle. Away by Elsey and further clear by Halloran. Halloran trying to bust his way through traffic, but he was obstructed by Berlanta. He's saying, well, what could I do? I couldn't get out of the way.
Michael Maria down in the back of play. Halloran, sorry, has done this on a couple of occasions, bursting through the middle of the park. Showed good energy tonight. I'm sure the 2 goals will give you a little bit of a spring in your step.
Meantime, the Reds have got a bit of an issue over Michael Maria. Here's how it happened. Oh, ouch. Just got that left ankle rolled by Craig Noon.
The Adelaide United substitutes are already warming up.
Michael Morone, of course, natural defender, not necessarily a left-sided one, but has played there. Ryan Kitto would be probably the more natural replacement if Maria wasn't able to continue, but for now he's going to plod on. A win for Adelaide tonight would take them back into 5th spot and level on points with Wellington in 4th. Goal difference at the moment favouring Ufuk Tale's team, who will have the bye this weekend.
City are really brought back to the pack if they're not able to take something from this game. Poor ball.
Susayeta, too casual. Blackwood sending McGree a bit wider than he wanted. He's going to get a corner though off Delbridge, which is not a bad outcome for the Reds.
Sloppy passing out from the back from Melbourne City. I feel like that's when Adelaide are at their most dangerous. They win the ball and they're high up in the field and they can transition quickly, got that speed going forward, and that's where they do so much damage.
You know what Dean Bazanis was saying to his fellow defenders there? Focus, concentrate. We'll be done 3 times by corners already tonight.
Elsey getting ready for the big run-up.
Here's the delivery. Berengay. It's good clearing distance. Maria looking to pull the trigger. Gibson might have been able to turn. He had time there, maybe didn't realise. Here's Halloran on the right. Gets away from Noon with ease. Chance here. It's turned well over the top of the crossbar from Nathan Konstantopoulos.
We know what he's capable of. Last week's an absolute ripping goal. Lovely play out wide again by Halloran. Good cutback. It's a difficult one. Beyond that near post, you're trying to get it back behind your left shoulder. He gets under and skies it over the crossbar.
There's the As Live ladder. Sydney FC would stay 13 points clear if it finishes this way. Adelaide, as mentioned, would edge up to 5th ahead of Western United, who drew against the bottom club Newcastle a little bit earlier on today. Goalless draw in the Hunter. Good stretch by Elsey.
I think he's been pretty good tonight, Elsey. Made a few good clearances. A little bit sloppy on the ball early on, but put his head into dangerous positions on a couple of occasions. Good defending and good clearing as well.
You find your eye more drawn towards central defenders, given it's where you played. I guess you must do, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Always keeping a close eye on how they do things.
Mistake from Hendry. He's not made too many of those in possession tonight, but that's one. Just didn't look. Hear the groans of disappointment from the gallery at Coopers. Noon turns it out towards Berengay. Good field position this for City. This guy's ball for McLaren. Well, he only needs one chance and he's already made Paul Izzo work, and that's virtually the first opportunity he's had, Robbie.
It is indeed. I think I read somewhere that he's the most lethal in terms of possessions per goal. Every 17 touches of the ball he managed to score, and That's far better than any other player's ratio, but he hasn't had enough opportunities.
Here's Konstantopoulos. He's looking for Halloran to make that run. He'll make it now belatedly. A mistake from Najareen. And City are a bit slow to cover here. Strain. Good header away, and then on the volley by Maria. Well wide. City just a little bit asleep at the wheel there.
Yeah, I mean, Remy Najareen sliding in to cut that pass out, not realising Halloran had stopped his run. I really do think it might be time to look towards the bench, maybe look to freshen things up.
Goldbridge forced into going long. Came off Berengay, but Ryder McGree picking up the scraps and driving into the penalty area. Galloway had to make that, he can't. It's Ben Halloran! Well, that had hat-trick written all over it, didn't it?
It certainly did. The form he's in, you expect him to hit the target. McLaren. Oh.
Ben Halloran's never scored an A-League hat-trick. We might have thought one was on the cards there. That's a pretty blatant trip from Maria.
It was on the cards. Unfortunately for him and for his side, he just snatched out a little bit, dragged it across the face. He did the right thing. It was a tight angle, maybe better off going for power at that near post.
They played over an hour and still not too many signs of a Melbourne City comeback. Najareen working hard to try and retrieve the ball. They've done so, City. Susiata. Curtis Good. Susiata, and he spotted the run of Craig Doon, and he's rewarded that run, but fortunately the Englishman's touch just let him down at the crucial moment. Not an easy one to control over your shoulder, out of the air. Meantime, we're going to have a stoppage for an injury to George Blackwood.
Yeah, Melbourne City just really struggling to find a way through this Adelaide United defence. Not good signs for George Blackwood. Hopefully he's grabbing at both calves and just a sign of fatigue. Didn't see anything happen.
He's played his part tonight. That bullet header in first half stoppage time, shaping as being a crucial moment. Maybe it's the end of the section for Blackwood. Christian Opseth going through his final instructions. And if he is to come off, he probably deserves a pretty generous round of applause from the gallery here at Coopers, because he's done well tonight.
It's been a battle for him. That first 20 minutes, he was up against it. Melbourne City back three, all big, strong centre halves. He had to battle and work hard. Got himself a goal. All in all, I think you can be pleased with his night.
So Blackwood exit stage left. And on comes the big Norwegian, Christian Opseth, who's been struggling with an adductor problem for some time now. Seems to be in 1 week and then out the next.
I suppose the thing for Opseth is the season's half gone. You've had an interrupted first half of the year, but there is still time to make a bit of a name for yourself. If he can say in the next sort of, well, they got left 13 games or something along those lines, if he can get himself 5 goals, that's going to be a handy contribution. Forget about what's happened. Concentrate on getting back to what you're paid to do.
He's got one. Come against the Mariners as Curtis Good is robbed of possession, and Halloran says, "Give the ball to me." I'll tell you what, Halloran's no slouch across the floor, but look how quickly Hendry got across there.
He showed turn of pace in the first half, Hendry, when he got in front of Blackwood. He's no slouch.
Najareen, Galloway, and they get away from that little pincer movement from Adelaide. just too wide of Susaeta, and Adelaide are back on the attack. Christian Opseth, first involvement off the bench. Riley McGree sits up nicely for him. And that could only have been a matter of millimetres wide of that left hand upright, and his reaction suggests that.
Good play already from Opseth. Got on the ball, made a good decision, drove forward and found McGree. This was one of those strikes that, for me, it didn't look like going in the whole way, and then all of a sudden at the end, thought it might just creep in. Had Dean Bouzanis worried.
Delbridge launching its crossfield and finding Nazarene. Clipped forward by Galloway, but Elsie has front position ahead of Susaeta.
For a side that's 3-1 down, we're 20 minutes into the second half. They've had just the one shot on goal in this second half, so...
Needs to be a bit more urgency from City.
Exactly right. Is that Riley McGree chance again? Good first touch, gets it out of his feet, doesn't really catch it. Nearly finds its way into that bottom corner.
It's close enough, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
There we go. Eric Momber's looking for some sort of response from his team. He's not found it yet. Although they have had the only shot on target, strangely enough, second half.
That was good from Opseth. Track back. I think one of the reasons he struggled is because Adelaide United play this high energy press, forward runs, and he's not that type of player. There's a good bit of defending there, getting back.
Swung across by Dorigo, but he only found Delbridge. Just used his body strength there to literally shrug Milosnic out of the way. Move. Big Harrison coming through. Can they make something of this? McLaren shaping to volley. Didn't quite reach him, and now they could be stretched at the other end, Melbourne City. Look at this open pasture for Riley McGree to drive into. Has Opseth wide right. Held up by Good. Needs a bit of help here, Opseth. Still got numbers here, Adelaide. Riley McGree. Maybe trying to overplay it a little bit at the end, Adelaide. Look at the energy from Curtis Good, the left-sided central defender, remember?
It was Delbridge a minute ago, and now it's Good. It's the centre halves that are offering the most drive forward.
Very open game at the moment. Noon looking to curl it, perhaps. Yeah, the least said about that one, the better.
I mean, we speak about Melbourne City and the fact that they haven't really put Adelaide under much pressure in the second half, but Adelaide United got to be careful. If they think this game's over, they can get themselves into real trouble, because, you know, with over 20 minutes to go in this match, if they concede at any moment, it's going to be pressure in the last few minutes. I think that's a criticism of Adelaide this season. The game management maybe hasn't been that great. Look to continually go forward, and you look at the picture now, this game is so stretched.
Maybe that's why their record so far this season reads played 14, won 7, lost 7.
Exactly. They're constantly going for it, aren't they? It's exciting to watch.
Yeah, very much so.
But at times you need one of the older heads, maybe Jakobsen at the back, just to put his foot on it.
As Hendry's done there for City. Delbridge out for Noon. Oh, he thought that Berenguer had gone beyond him there.
Noon outsmarted Berenguer, I think.
Dusk descending on Cooper's Stadium. Lights on. Where would you rather be on a Saturday night?
I think this is what frustrates Gert-Jan Verbeek, after they win, he's never completely happy. Because they never really ice the game early enough, and they struggle to put together a complete 90 minutes that he's pleased with. He was frustrated with that long ball from Izzo, giving possession away. He's barking instructions on the touchline. He wants to see a little bit more control of this game.
City were to nick a second, would make for fascinating last 20 minutes. Was that a high foot by Najareen? Alex King well placed. Yeah, he knows, doesn't he? But the points are far from one. Tough trip coming up next, Adelaide, away to Brisbane. I wonder if that's where Stefan Mork will make his debut. It's always the way, isn't it? You make your debut against the club you've just left.
Well, I hope he does, because it'll add a little something extra to that match. Brisbane maybe a little unlucky on Friday night.
Edged out by Sydney FC, by the only goal. Melbourne City, for their part, have a big derby against Melbourne Victory up next. There's Adelaide's next 5. Including trips to Western Sydney and Melbourne Victory in that little lot.
You have to say there's some, you know, on paper, there's some winnable games there for them.
And there's City's next 5. Tough ones for them as well. The derby, a trip to Wellington. Home game with Perth, home game with Brisbane. At least there is just the one trip outside. I was going to say one trip outside Victoria, but there's 2 in there, isn't there? Math's not my strong point.
Or geography.
No. Thanks, Robbie. Well, we did talk about Conor Metcalf. I think he's going to be the first cab off the rank in terms of substitutes for City. And I reckon that's a good decision by Eric Monbert. We'll see if it pays off for him.
It may have been a question of fitness. We know he's been away, played some minutes, maybe not enough.
Make a couple of starts for the Olyroos. There he is. Next break in play, he'll be with us.
I think he's got a heavily strapped knee as well, from what I've seen. Hopefully nothing too serious that's going to hold him back.
What's the change Monbert's going to make? Robbie, you can play super sleuth as we watch this attack unfold.
An opportunity for me to embarrass myself, is it? No, listen, I think maybe Remy Najareen's probably the one that cries out to me, unless we see a change in formation.
Or Berengay, potentially. We'll see.
I thought you were asking me.
Well, I was, but then I thought I'd throw in my 2 cents as well. Whatever change he makes, City need a spark from somewhere. Here's Michael Maria. Milojusnic, lovely little back heel into the path of Obseth. And he'll get the corner off Curtis Good. City will just probably hang fire on that change until after they defend this corner, which has been a big problem for them in this game.
Well, they've got this man as well, Christian Obseth, to worry about. Another tall, strong figure. And if delivery is good again, that near post is going to be attacked by these Adelaide United players.
See if Konstantopoulos can put on a similar sort of delivery that he did for Blackwood in the first half. Goes for the back post, and Halloran was there, but leaning all over the top of Craig Noon. And here's that change for City. Well, we're both wrong, Robbie. It's Michael Susayeta. Still perhaps adjusting to life in Australia.
And that's why when people ask me if I want to be a coach, I say no.
You know what this guy offers, even despite that heavily strapped left knee. Very strong, and Delbridge had to fly in there because the ball got away from him, and he could be in trouble here. Yeah, booking the big Harrison. He has had his problems disciplinary-wise this season. It was the heavy first touch that did for him there, Robbie.
Oh, indeed. I mean, he started this season really, really well. A lot of people talking him up, hyping him up. But I do feel just of late, he's just dropped off his performances a little bit. A few silly moments. Saw in the first half, he tried to dribble out of defence there. Really, really heavy first touch, and then nearly got himself into serious trouble with that tackle. Maybe just needs to go back to doing the simple things.
Came through like a steam train, didn't he, on Milojusnic? So that was sort of celebration for his 50th A-League appearance that he wanted. You remember back in the cup final between these two, it was Delbridge who got turned and rolled by Al Hassan Toure Really announced his arrival, didn't he?
He did.
That particular night.
He was good throughout the FFA Cup, obviously, but that's where he really made his name for himself. And you were right, up on the halfway line, he was able to manhandle him. You see this first touch here, didn't have his head up, didn't know where the opposition players were. And then obviously that's not the type of touch he was looking to have. Studs were raised. He may have caught him with both feet.
Yep.
And he's lucky.
He is fortunate, isn't he?
I mean, even though he got a piece of the ball, he might still be lucky. If he didn't catch a piece of the ball, he would have been in big trouble.
They are having a look at it, of course. They can upgrade it. Oh, yep, here we go. Alex King
to be
has
fair,
come across.
It wasn't probably until that last view that I thought maybe he could be in a bit of strife. It's that one there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that left leg, is it? It looks as though it's quite high. It's caught him. Oh, yeah.
I think he could be in trouble here, you know.
I'll have to agree with you.
I think he could be in big trouble. He has got a piece of the ball, but I mean, that doesn't matter.
Reckless, that's reckless.
The angle that Alex King will be watching, I'm sure. And I reckon Harrison Delbridge could be on for his 3rd red card of the season here.
And he's compounded his mistake.
All that remains is for the card to pop up. Yeah. He's off. Decision overturned or upgraded, you could say, from yellow to red, and Harrison Delbridge looks utterly crestfallen. I don't think he's intentionally tried to hurt Nikola Melujusnic. He's just tried to atone for his error, but he is sent off for the 3rd time this season, Harrison Delbridge.
Yeah, I don't think he's that type of player. He doesn't seem like that type of guy, and quite often you see players that make a mistake, frustration, they go and compound it by doing something silly like that, getting themselves a yellow or a red. And as you say, 3rd red card of the season. From memory, one of those was a penalty that was quite dubious, in my opinion.
Yes.
But still, yeah, he's going to have to really watch himself now for the rest of the year, because ultimately you're letting your team down.
Well, is that City's chance gone? Down 3-1. A man short for the last quarter of an hour. Melujusnic, thankfully, is okay. And Adelaide now with a real chance to put this to bed. Kazanis came a long way through traffic. Good punch on it. Retrieved by McGree. Wide right is Halloran. Awkward height across. Berengay's got a bit of an issue as well. Maybe got caught around the midriff, maybe a whack on the arm. And he's in a bit of discomfort there, Florent Berengay.
He was holding that earlier in the match. I saw him grab at it. Hopefully nothing serious with the ribs.
Well, he is not the change that Eric Mombert is making. Craig Noon, who had a very eventful first half, probably at faults, weak clearance that led to Halloran's opener, for which he then atoned, of course, by netting the equaliser. It's all gone a bit wrong since then for City, and he is replaced by Nathaniel Atkinson. City really up against it now. Hooked away by Brillante. Melujusnic being tracked by Brillante. Lachlan Wales is also being ready. Eric Mombert is going to make all his changes in a bit of a rush. He tries to turn this one around, a man short.
Something I mentioned earlier in the season about Adelaide United, and still the fact now that every time someone's out through injury and another player comes in, they've always seemed to do a job. I don't think they've had a player that's come in and put in a bad performance. Everyone putting their hand up and contributing.
Strain, Dorigo. Maria. It's looking perhaps now to just move City around and probe for the gaps that are bound to appear. Elsie. Strain. Dorigo. And Opseth will reel this one in. And finds the angle nicely as well. It's Halloran. Out of the near post was Hendry, and behind he goes for a corner.
Nice little bit of play again from Opseth in the corner. I think he's done well since coming on. Brought other players into the game. It's important for a number 9 to do that. Nice little ball inside to Halloran. Well cleared from Jack Hendry.
So just over 10 minutes remaining. McGree's corner. Nobody at the back post. Atkinson can run it up towards halfway. Well, Brillante has lost his footing and has lost the ball. Credit to it. Scrapped well to win it back. Here's Metcalf. Nazarene. He's had a quiet night tonight for a youngster of such immense promise, but well marshalled by the Adelaide defence, as McLaren has been as well. That dismissal for Harrison Delbridge means that City are really up against it. And incidentally, Delbridge, just the third man in A-League history to be dismissed 3 times during a single A-League season. The other two being Nigel Bogart and Bessart Berisha.
I hate to put you on the spot, Simon, but do you know three reds, is that automatic 2 or 3 games? Something along those lines?
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. Of course, Richard Vinbickler, who's one of the potential replacements, is out for quite some time. That's why they've been able to sign Jack Hendry as an injury replacement for him. So maybe problems started to mount a little bit for Eric Mombert ahead of that big derby next week against Victory. It's a good touch by Miliosnic. McGree, this could finish it. Opseth trod on the ball, or at least that's the way it seemed.
Thought he had to take that first time. He was under pressure on his left foot. Thought he maybe just sweep that home.
McGree again, that low centre of gravity, really difficult to keep track of. Lachlan Wales still waiting his big moment. Here's Constantopoulos. Down the line it goes for McGree. Well, the idea was right. Just a little bit of miscommunication between McGree and Constantopoulos. Here's that change for City. Berengay's been struggling with injury the last few minutes in particular. Gives way for Lockie Wales.
It's been pretty comfortable for Adelaide since City went down to 10 men. I'm sure that would please their manager. I spoke about the game management. Quite often we know when a team goes down to 10 they can get on the front foot and cause you issues, but so far Adelaide's dealt with this really well.
Ball. They're going to be able to keep it alive. They are through Miliosnic. Skips clear of Atkinson. Miliosnic trying to place it. That's his getting in on the goal-scoring act himself tonight, Nikola Miliosnic. City really, for the most part, have looked largely devoid of ideas, Robbie.
You've got to feel a little bit for Jamie McLaren. Completely isolated tonight. Very little support. I can't remember a time other than maybe the goal when he's linked up with someone else in and around the box.
Here's Wales looking to provide some of that support. Maria hustles him out of it. In fact, the last time I can remember Jamie McLaren being this quiet was in the cup final.
Exactly right. He doesn't, we mentioned it, he doesn't enjoy coming to Hindmarsh, which is strange because it's such a wonderful venue.
Miliosnic carrying it forward unchecked. Oh, that was the wrong option. Surely had to go to Opseth on the right.
Yeah, Opseth had peeled wide, allowed that space through the middle for Halloran. Maybe his fellow winger looking to do him a favour and get him in on a hat-trick.
Still time for Halloran.
I think it'd be a huge boost for Opseth and Adelaide United if he was able to grab a late goal here. do wonders for his confidence.
I know he said that the game that he did score earlier on the season against the Mariners, he also missed a penalty in that game. Or to be more exact, Mark Berregetti saved it. And I know that that played on his mind for quite some time.
I think, you know, when you couple that with the fact he's had his injuries, you know, his clearance took a long time to come through, didn't get to play much in the FFA Cup. It's been a really difficult sort of 6 months for him.
They do seem a bit cursed, don't they, with import strikers. That's not to say he can't yet come good. Baba Diawara came with such big raps and spent most of the time on the treatment table. Here's Galloway. Reds fans so comfortable at the moment, they're not even bothering to boo Scott Galloway. Here's Metcalf, catching practice for Paul Izzo. Late game tonight, of course, sees Perth entertain Melbourne victory. Always a good clash, that one. Perth in such good form at the moment. As Adelaide lifted over the top for Miliosnic, and a little trick and a flick gets away from Atkinson. Chance here, Konstantopoulos. It's a great block from Hendry. Just threw his body in the way. And now City will look to spring forward, and Konstantopoulos, it's going to be a book-in. Easiest decision of the night for Alex King.
He's gone from nearly scoring a goal to getting booked in the space of 20 seconds. It's a good block. I think it was Jack Hendry throwing his body in the way.
Was.
But he's had a good night, Konstantopoulos. Contributed well, worked hard in the midfield. Seems as though he's got a pretty good engine for a guy that doesn't play a lot of football. Seems to get through the match quite well.
It's always been one of his strengths. Here's Atkinson. He just cannot find a way through to Jamie McLaren. He's surrounded by barbed wire. Or in this case, Jakobsen and Elsey. So yeah, that game between Perth and Victory, it comes a little bit later on. If this result stays the same, which it looks as though it probably will, then that would offer Perth the opportunity, if they're able to get the 3 points, to go up into second spot and dislodge City.
A bit of motivation for them.
Victory, of course, have their own issues, trying to just keep pace with the top six at the moment. What a great win. We should make mention of that for them during the week in the Champions League playoff away at Kashima.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. First away win in the Asian Champions League. Andrew Nabu, who's had a little bit of a difficult time of late in front of goal, getting the winner. So that'll do him a world of good. And 3 sides now in the Asian Champions League for the A-League. That's fantastic.
First time in 6 years that's happened. Still not quite comfortable yet for Hercham Verbeek, but a lot more so since the dismissal of Harrison Delbridge.
Well, let's be honest, City weren't really offering too much in that first 25, 30 minutes of the second half, and then once they've gone down to 10 so far, I don't want to say it's over because anything can happen. It's killed their chances.
If there is to be a comeback, it's got to be soon. Atkinson. One of those nights for Eric Mombert and his team. They mounted a good comeback after falling behind to Ben Halloran's early goal, and for a fair chunk of that first half, Robbie, it's probably fair to say they looked the more likely of the two teams, but as soon as Adelaide got that second goal, the result has rarely looked in doubt.
It was a funny sort of a first half because City were probably the cleaner in possession, and yet Adelaide were by far the more clinical, and City really didn't create anything of note.
Bazanis cool and composed. Metcalf. And Galloway. Brillante. Keeping the ball, but not making much progress at the moment, City. Here's Atkinson. It's asking an awful lot of Rami Nazarin. Content just to play it about at the back for a few moments, run down the clock. All on City to get the ball back. Big chance missed to reduce that gap at the top again to 10 points. Nice rangy sort of a ball from Jakobsen to pick out Maria. He's not quite got enough of a trick to get around Atkinson. Wales a little bit slow to react, and it's a goal kick. And we're into 4 minutes of added time. Adelaide are going to make their second change of the evening. Ryan Kitto is going to get his appearance money once we get the fourth officials board sorted out. And Nikola Milojusnic will get a rest. It's been good again tonight, Nikola Milojusnic, no goal for him. To add to that seasonal best tally of 5. He's certainly played his part. Ryan Kitto is with us for what is his 99th A-League appearance. Luis Thurigo. Kitto's first touch. Good to get in behind and beyond Riley McGree. Konstantopoulos will return it to that area now. Pretty good ball it was too. Kitto has the legs on Hendry. Brillante has the positional sense to intervene. Oh, the rebound favours Adelaide. Most fortuitously, McGree on target, but not good enough to beat Bazanis. McGree. Opseth. Might have a crack here, Christian Opseth. Blocked by Good. Luis Thurigo. The game sort of drifting towards its inevitable conclusion. Adelaide in full control, as they have been really since Ben Halloran restored their lead in the 42nd minute. Just a bit of keep ball from the Reds. Run down that clock. We're almost into the last minute of the additional 4. And City tonight at least look a spent force. They've denied that service to Jamie McLaren, which has been one of the keys to their success. And just been more clinical in front of goal. Of course, the red card didn't help Melbourne City, but they were already 3-1 down at that point. All the goals coming in the first half. City just haven't been good enough to mount any sort of a response. There's the one final opportunity to be created. They're going to throw. It's going to be delayed for a moment or two, so Alex King can check on the welfare of Jack Hendry. 2 Scottish Premier League titles, 3 caps for Scotland, made 6 appearances in the UEFA Champions League. It's a good acquisition, but he's on the losing side tonight. Adelaide comfortable winners in the end. Ben Halloran with 2 of the goals. George Blackwood with the killer third in first half stoppage time. All 3 of them coming from corner kicks, which was City's Achilles heel tonight. Different competition, same results. The Reds defeat City here at Coopers, just as they did in the Cup final in October, to end City's unbeaten run in 2020 and stretch their own winning streak to 3. You just never quite know what you're going to get with the Reds, but they were good tonight. They are back up to 5th. Their rollercoaster ride goes on, and City allow Sydney to escape 13 points clear now at the top. That's the way it finished at Coopers. Adelaide United 3, Melbourne City 1. Let's go down to Robbie for reaction. All yours, Robbie.
Thank you very much, Simon. I'm joined by Ben Halloran. Ben, what is it about Melbourne City? You seem to do the goods against them more often than not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the first header I've ever scored at any level of football. Yeah, I'm just happy to get a couple of goals and contribute. Boys played, I think, really well. We nullified their strengths, and I think we deserve the win.
5 goals for yourself so far. Nicola on the other side with 5. Is it something that the manager's doing? Is this just down to the structure, or are you guys just on top of your game at the minute?
Maybe a bit of both. I think everyone's really pulling their weight. George is chipping in as well. Riley's got a handful of goals, and I think it makes it a lot easier when it's spread across a couple of players, not just relying on the one. But yeah, I think we've set up well structurally. We're a bit better last week. Defensively, we conceded a few goals, and it was good to just concede the one tonight.
You went through a bit of a rough patch, 4 losses in a row, now 3 wins in a row. What's been the difference? What's been able to make things turn around?
I think just a bit more desperation and grit. I think in the previous games we were playing all right, but we just, copped sloppy goals, and, we copped another one tonight. But if we're scoring 3 in a game, you're most likely going to win a game. Congratulations
on the win.
Thanks.
I'm joined by Melbourne City's Josh Brillante as well. Josh, wasn't much in it in that first half, to be honest, in my opinion, but 3 goals from a set pieces. You guys couldn't have been pleased with that.
Yeah, not at all. Obviously, first half I thought we played some good stuff. I thought we were a bit sloppy up in the front, letting them counter to create the set piece in the first place. In the second half,